welcome to another episode of Paranormal the New Normal. I am your host, as always, Jeremy, and I'm here to try to make the world seem a little more normal. Do I ever succeed in this role? Hell no, but we're here to try at least. As always, I bring a guest to help me try, and my guest tonight is Marv Machura, and he is a man of many things, but we'll get into that in a minute. First things first, how you doing tonight, Marv?
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Jeremy.
So, let me ask you this. What got you into the paranormal?
It was my grandfather. He was what's known in English as a water witch, although he was a Ukrainian fellow from the old country. And he would find water for everybody in the community that he lived in Alberta. And he showed me how to do it. And it was magic then and still magic today, as far as I'm concerned, how that goes. And from there, other aspects of metaphysical, paranormal, if you will, or those two terms are somewhat very similar, not quite synonyms. All intrigued me greatly, and so I got into it at a very young age. And I'm still into it. I went professional a few years ago when I wrote my book, and during COVID, as a musician, I couldn't play anywhere. It was all blocked off, except for what's known as a farmer's market. I'm sure you have them there in Boston too, and so when I was at this farmer's markets, and I had, they'd let me play for two hours at a time, and I'm already there. And I thought, geez, maybe I can do some card reading, because I've always been able to do that. And so I asked them if that was okay, and they said, okay, but you need to have a tent and everything else and pay the fees and a table. So I kind of sat on that for a while, but then come fall, when they moved indoors, I started doing it. And then I started doing more research on the tarot, and the book came out of that. And now I'm into my third year as being a professional psychic, practicing professional card reader, if you will, and other psychic services. I can still find water if anybody needs to drill a well too. So
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I never had someone with that ability on, and that's just. I mean, I assume 100 years ago, the person who could do that was the most popular person for anybody.
That's right. My grandfather was really good. He could find water. He could tell you if it was good water, salty water, brackish water, how deep it was. Yeah.
Interesting.
On my uncle's farm, for example, he found water. He said, this is an artesian well, very good water. And sure enough, they poked the hole down there, and the water came gushing out like an artesian well, just like he predicted, within inches of where he said it would be.
Interesting. I'm trying to think. I'm like, to be able to do that, you have to have a connection of some kind to like the water plane, almost like.
You're like the way he described it to me. Like it's listening to the vibrations of the water that's underneath you, and it speaks to you in that metaphysical way. And essentially, like, even card reading is a metaphysical vibration beyond the physical, if you will. So where it's a definite part of the universe that some of us are attuned into. I think we're all sort of attuned into those vibrations, but some of us more so than others. Musicians tend to be more psychic than your regular population, and studies have proven that. Just because, especially songwriters, because it's vibration you're dealing with. You're dealing with sound. After all, sound waves and the vibration of the strings and the vibration of word and music together, if you will.
Makes sense. I mean, it makes sense because they say that the world around us is just different dimensions, and we just have to be able to like kind of tap into those dimensions to get the feelings that you're describing. So
yeah,
makes sense.
Thank you.
But so let's talk about the book you wrote, because. So, what is the official book title? Because I don't want to mess it up if I do.
Okay, so the book is called The 5-Card Pentagram Tarot, because it deals with what's called the 5-card layout. And the 5-card layout draws one card from each part of the deck. So it gives you a comprehensive view of your life. The deck is divided into 5 parts, or the pentagram shape, the human shape, if you will, the human shape of the metaphysical world. So there's a spirit card, there's a health card, there's a money card, there's a emotion card, and a mind card from the different parts of the deck. And when you lay that out, the reader can, like myself, will be able to read a comprehensive view of you as a querent and tell you a lot about what those vibrations are for you at this particular moment and leading into the near future. So I found a lot of tarot books when I was doing my research tended to be very vague and obscure and maybe not too useful. And there's other ones that are very simple and again, not too useful. So I saw a need for a book that was simple, but enough to have some meat on the bones. So I had to narrow down my focus to that particular spread. And so although you can use it for other things, that spread is what the book is about, and it's a very useful layout as well, I believe. So people can, pull their cards, do the metaphysical things that I talk about before you draw the cards, lay them out, and then take the book and you'll read an essay about every card that you drew. It's not as good as having a real reading with a psychic, because a psychic will see visions and mystical vibrations between the cards, which my book cannot enter. But it does give a starting point, and I think it shows what the tarot does. The tarot is never there to hurt you. It's there to enlighten the human condition that we all have. The more research I do on the tarot, I realize that it is a book of ancient mystery hidden in plain sight, if you will, from those people who burn books. So it's survived the centuries, the millenniums, perhaps even beyond the Egyptians. It's possible, from the Hermetic philosophy. And lately I've been studying the Jewish Kabbalah, and I see that the Kabbalah and the tarot are very much connected to each other in a lot of ways. 22 letters, 22 cards, and the trumps are the major arcana of the deck. Most of the number things are exact. The scientific or the astrological parts are all the same. But instead of having this book burnt, it was transmitted to the gypsies primarily in our own time. And it's to this day, it's a coded book of 72 pages that tells what it means to be human in a very comprehensive way, and not in the traditional way of what we think of being human. So it's more the
Yeah, I mean,
Hermetic way, the old way, the belief of the spirit being. We're not humans having a spiritual experience. We're spirits having a human experience, if you will.
exactly. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot. I mean,
and it's there to
and it
teach
kind
you,
of,
help you through. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, it kind of flows with my beliefs as well, and I dig it. I mean, my co-host on my music show has actually been on this show before, and he's a novice tarot card reader. He's from
yeah,
circus folk, so he's been doing it for years. But
yeah,
so and I've had a few others on here as well. And tarot always fascinates me because it's one of those abilities I don't have, but I always
yeah.
wanted to have because uh, to feel those vibrations, basically. But
Yeah. I it's good to have. I wouldn't recommend it for everybody, again, to get fully involved in it, because you're walking in dangerous paths when you're engaging in, like, at a certain level past just, wading your toes in the water, and you have to be ready for that, because the other side is not all good, put it that way. uh,
all right, well,
and the
now you
forces
intrigue me. Now you
the
intrigue me.
forces on the other side are you're touching them. You're very much exposing yourself to them, and you have to be pretty strong to avoid the temptations, I guess, that are there, in that mystical realm or the astral realm. Because
Hmm.
your destruction is, I mean, even just living a human life is dangerous enough. There's no doubt about that, because, like, every action has meaning and purpose, and we like to not think about that, but it is. But whereas a psychic is more closely aligned to that deeper meaning and purpose that's behind the scenes, if you will, operating in the astral plane as we exist on this particular plane.
It makes
But
sense. I mean,
still, it's like it's I'm an advocate of it, of course, but knowing what I know now about it and having been a professional for a number of years and going deeply into that, if a lot of people come to me and say that same thing, and I just have that little warning there, just having knowing what I know now about the
oh,
potential forces that are there. Yeah.
I mean, it's the same as yeah, it's along the same lines as being like a psychic medium that helps clear out people's houses and whatnot. Because eventually,
Yes.
you could hit a very bad something very bad in one of those houses, and it could easily
Yeah.
corrupt you.
Yeah. That's right. I
I
don't know if you're familiar with the Kabbalah or not, but that's always the Kabbalistic philosophy as well. Everything has a good and a bad counterpart, and they have to be there. We can't have a only good universe like the left and right, whatever you want to call it. In a lot of psychic lives, they call it the left-hand path or the right, but that's not necessarily a good word to use because left-handed people aren't evil, whatever. But although they used to think that, right? But
yeah,
there's
years
the
ago.
evil, destructive path versus the helpful path, of the psychic.
Yeah, everything needs to have yin and yang. There's always yin and yang.
Like
There's always balance.
just in a way that people can understand. Like when you say, "Hey, Jeremy, have a great day," that has vibrational power. That has power to go on. We kind of take it for granted, but it does something. It does something metaphysical to you. Just this, and so if that's true, the reverse is true. If I curse somebody, that sends a bad vibration that way too. And that's dangerous, not only for
Well, yeah,
yourself but for the other person that you're cursing. A lot of the First Nations people of North America, they understood that principle a lot better than we do, because we're kind of immune to that. But so they were very careful about how they cursed and people, and how they, even just gave them the quote unquote the evil eye. Even like my ancestors, in that my family that's more psychic, they were very attuned to that sort of thing. That vibration that somebody could give you would be potentially deadly. You know,
yeah. I mean, it's.
and in
I
some
mean,
ways, that's the most cowardly kind of curse you can do to somebody. If they don't know that you're cursing them, you're sending them this negative psychological energy. It's the most cowardly kind of thing you can do to somebody. But if you get good at this kind of thing, it's as real as anything else, I believe. Just so, and there's certainly plenty of that out there.
oh, there is. I mean, I had. It's funny because I had. It's funny we're talking about this. 'Cause I had someone on last night and she's a investigator slash podcaster in the paranormal
Mhm.
field, and she actually had an attachment at one point, like a year or two ago. She had an attachment stuck to her for a while, and
Oh yeah.
she was at a convention, and a Native American shaman came up to her and said, like, "Something's attached to you. Can I please help you get rid of it?" And she was like, "Yeah, please do." She's like, I had no idea what's attached to me. She's like, didn't feel like myself for a while, but I didn't realize there's something there."
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, necromancy is the most dangerous of all of the arts for sure. I've limited experience in that, but it seems to be something that's coming more and more into my view. Which necromancy is like calling up dead people, basically.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So that
Well,
that
I listen to enough heavy metal that I know what a necromancer is, but
yeah, you know what that is. Yeah, yeah. It's there. Well, heavy metal's got yeah, for sure.
which I mean, is it really possible to call up like zombies for lack of a better word?
Uh,
Or
it's yes, it is. It is, but I think I've never seen it myself, although I've heard of it being done. Um, I don't know if you follow San Guru. that psychic from or he's a guru, a yoga guru from India, very famous right now, and he talks about in those traditions that when a body dies, it's not dead right away. It takes a long time for the body to die. It doesn't want to die. And like in
Yeah.
Ukrainian tradition, there's very, very strong traditions, and in most cultures, they have a very specific thing that has to happen when the person dies. You can't wear their clothing. You can't for a certain period of days. You should not disturb their room, their bed for at least 40 days. You need to give them time to exit onto the astral plane without holding them back. When people like keep a room that a child died and the room is exactly as it was when they died 16 years ago or whatever it might be, that's bad too. In most folk traditions or there's so anyway he goes on to talk about some people who are able to like a recently killed bird can be brought back to life. If you read the Gospels of Jesus, he does
Oh,
that several
yeah.
times as well, and whether we buy that or not, it's in there. It's definitely it's something that has been in traditional, and what that, from my understanding of what that is says wake up, you're only sleeping. There's a way to do it. I don't know how exactly, but there's traditions too in India when they put the body on the fire too soon that the body actually wakes up and will walk for a period of time till it's done. That's what
Interesting.
Sadhguru talks about.
Mm.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it makes sense. It really does. Because I mean,
yeah,
I'm 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 one of those people who fully believes that like we're just basically reincarnated spirits. Everybody, like when you pass on, your spirit goes up to basically a waiting room, waiting to come back down again.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, there may be
You're
another dimension beyond that where they go if they achieve some goal or something they had to achieve, but who knows? I can't speak to that.
yeah. That's essentially in a lot of traditions. That's the way when your body is just your body. You are a spiritual being, and as physics tell us, you can't create or destroy energy. So, which suggests that the energy that makes up you is eternal. It's been around for a long time. It has manifested itself in very many ways. A rock has energy inside of it too. Everything has mystical vibrations that are there. That's why people like to wear certain gemstones. It's not an accident why they do that. And certain metals have good vibrations, bad vibrations in that regard to everything that we see. Nicholas Tesla, he says, like, the universe, if you want to understand the universe, it's frequency, vibration, and basically amplitude or energy, right? Which is music, because music is
Yeah,
tone, um, amplitude, dynamics, and vibration. It's or what I mean by tone, I meant like frequency, like the notes.
yeah.
And there's certain beliefs that they think that the universe was sung into existence.
Hmm.
That's a certain belief in certain people. But anyway, the understanding, like what I understand of it too, is that your body dies. It takes that little bit. It takes some time for your spirit to rise into the astral plane, where it's either going to be born again, or it's going to exit. There's after a certain period of time in life, or a certain number of lives, and you've reached what's called the transcendental state of soul. You're your last time on this planet. You're not coming back here. It's and yeah, I've met very few people who fall into that category, but there are some that do. And like myself, I've kind of always known that since a child, that this was my last time here. I was aware of mortality way earlier than most people become of that. But again, nothing is certain. Everything is a mystery. We can't figure it all out. But there is truth, and there are some cases like where people who do not deserve to be recycled or born again, it's a their energy gets absorbed into the astral plane, and it's not a happy time. It's a slow process where you get basically reabsorbed bit by bit, and it does happen.
Well,
Unfortunately, it does, because but there are certain energies that just don't, they need to be destroyed, and it happens. It's
makes
not
sense though. I mean, I would hope Hitler's spirit is in another body right now.
No, it would be bit by bit destroyed. Yeah, in a very very terrible kind of way. What we'd think of as kind of like a hell. I mean, even the idea of purgatory was a sense of going into the astral plane after death, and having different experiences in the astral plane. They had nailed it down to the 7 sins, right? 7 levels of purgatory, and you'd have to spend a certain number of that in those years before your soul could be reborn or go on to transcendental heaven, if you will. But that we don't know. Again, not too many people can have journeyed that way and returned.
There are those that have, though. I mean, I've had a few NDE experiencers on this show, but they all tell different stories, which makes me think that like you see what you think you're gonna see.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, well, it's you see what we're supposed to see. It's very much like we don't see the world the way the world is. We see the world the way we are. If you're in love and it's raining, it's beautiful. If you're bad and feeling bad, it's raining, it's ugly. To the same thing, but we respond to the world the way we are. And I think in the other world, it's similar in that same way, that we're basically what you just said. You see what's inside you, the way you are.
I mean,
and again, there's the people. If you buy this kind of stuff, it's like, again, every act as if everything matters, because it does. Everything matters. Yeah, everything. Nothing's. It's not just a random throw of the dice, and all of a sudden we've got the Earth, Sun, and the Moon mixed up like that. Like, you think, well, what are the odds that when the Moon goes in front of the Sun and the Earth, the disk of the Moon covers the disk of the Sun exactly? It's not even out by a 0.0000001. It's exact. Now, how could swirling clouds of randomness throw that into the universe, and it just works out exactly like that? Like, you got to think of the odds of that happening are pretty small, unless it's intentional.
I mean, which either the moon was created for that purpose, or designed for that purpose, if you want to look at it through intelligent design
theory. Yeah.
Whether it be a god or it be a extraterrestrial or race, like, who knows? But
yeah, well,
I'm a big fan of the hollow moon. I'm a big fan of the hollow moon theory.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there is theory of that, that there was not always a moon. Certain cultural traditions say the time before the moon. That is for sure. Yeah.
Interesting. I actually didn't hear that before, but that's interesting.
That's true. Yeah. Whether that's, again, and again, like in tarot philosophy or hermetic philosophy, Kabbalistic, it's there is no, what we know as the material world is just a reflection of the psychic world, and that's how I approach the tarot too, and life itself. It's all like a movie, if you will. Have you ever read like Plato nailed it down too? He says it's like watching a movie on the wall. It's not everything that we see, everything that we do, everything that we are is primarily psychic energy from the one. And if that's the case, like, as again in the Gospels, Jesus says, if your faith is strong enough, you tell that mountain to move from here to there, you'll do it. And if that's the logical extension of that belief, that everything is energy. Everything is a vibration. Everything is, it's not solid. Nothing is solid in the universe. Everything is existing on a plane. Even Stephen Hawking's at the end of his life was getting close to that. He was trying to figure that out, physics with the string theories. How is it possible that we could have, like, 300 universes at the same time and in the same place, or possibly even more. And that's how he
Yeah.
figured it out too, that he thought that there is no physical reality that we can, other than the universe, and the universe is a
Mm.
reflection of some other creation or some energy that has just poof into existence. There was no Big Bang, and that's been proven now by the new space, the telescope. Everybody's trying to cover that up, but they can't find an end to the universe like they thought there would be.
Well, I mean,
There's
doesn't the universe keep expanding continuously? Isn't that?
That's what they believe, but it's not that it keeps expanding. It's just that it's infinite. It's there's no end. There's no edge.
Hmm.
At least we can't find it anymore. That was a theory. The Big Bang theory was that it was the singularity and it just banged into existence and slowly over time becomes what we know as ourselves and the universe itself, right? But the new telescope is proving that that is not that theory doesn't really hold up with this new telescope.
Well, I mean, as we
So
develop more technology, we will eventually prove everything we believe wrong. That's just the way it
yeah,
goes.
yeah. No, it's really, really. We live in interesting times. We really do. We're closing in on some really heightened awarenesses of our existence and our origins. Um,
Well, let me ask you this, because I've heard this from a lot of people, and I always like to bring it up to people who are in the spiritual realm. What do you? Because everybody says that spiritual awakening happened in the last 10 years. Some people say it was like 5, 6 years ago now. Some people say it was 2012. What do you
mhm.
think?
Yeah, we're in it. We're right now on the cusp of the dawning of age of Aquarius. We're on a new version of our humanity. Yeah, I think the date. I'm willing to go along with 2012, the Aztec calendar, or perhaps a calendar previous to that. We don't. We're not really aware of it as much, because our lives are so short. Give us another 100 years, and we'll see it. We're living in the transition times, which are
Interesting.
traumatic. That's part of the reason why the 20th century was so damn bloody. I don't think the world has ever seen anything quite like that. The number of deaths, the war, the destruction, and we're not through it yet, because at the end of you're familiar with the precession of the equinoxes and the ages of man that are coming
Yeah.
on. Yeah. So um I always use this analogy, like in 2000 years ago, when the age of the bull, Taurus, was ending and the age of Pisces was beginning. That's when, again, go back to Jesus, was walking the earth. People didn't know that a new force was entering the world at that time, who were living at that time. Just like we don't there could be a new prophet out there who's got a new way of looking at life, a new way of thinking, a new way of approaching the world, if you will. That'll be who will be an embodiment, real or not, of the new age. And
Hmm.
we'll see it come out. Just like, say, that happened, was 300 years or after his life, that there if there was life like that, but where these ideas manifested themselves in government and in life in general. And it's ideas that j- j- shape our world, if you will,
Yeah, of
primarily.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
I
I think we're definitely in a stage of enlightenment. Definitely, it's at a transition stage, in my opinion, and we have to go through more suffering and pain before it's probably going to take a major environmental disaster, uh, that's going to really just jumpstart that period of time, just like the Younger Dryas period 12,000 years ago, which probably wiped out the civilization that perhaps built the pyramids. And there's lots of belief in that that there could be, and why not? Like if we've been wiped out before, why can't we be wiped out again? And then a new age beginning in a very cataclysmic way, whether it's disease or whether it's fire or whether it's famine, something where our humanity is at a turning point. We're living in
which now that you said that, though, I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Who do you think built the pyramids?
They were built by a civilization that existed prior to the Younger Dryas, and it was probably the Atlanteans. That is the best guess for me. Yeah.
Which it's funny because that's actually been a hot topic on this show lately. Because I had two people who wrote books about, one about finding Atlantis because he believes he found it where it was, at least, and one about, and the other book was about the hidden history of humanity, and of course the Atlanteans and Sumerians and all that are put into it. So
yeah.
And the other one I can't think of, that's a hidden civilization, but the Lemurians, that's it, the Lemurians,
yeah.
But I mean, to be able to travel back in time like that,
it would be very interesting.
It'd be interesting to go past what we know and see what was before what we know.
It would be great. Well, Graham Hancock calls us a species with amnesia. Familiar with Graham Hancock, of course, the Fingerprints of the God, and his most recent. He again talks about in his first few books was about astronauts, or not aliens, who built these things. But he's changed his way of thinking now, and he thinks it just was a highly advanced civilization that had a technology that we're just getting close to now. They had a way to manipulate vibrations to build these things that we can't even to do today. And it was in tune with the vibrations of the universe. They were much more psychic than we were. The shamanism of North America is a remnant of that civilization and their religion. Why they built these things the way they did. It's not based on Christian or Judaic beliefs. It's based on a different philosophy. And interestingly enough, like in some of those traditions, they say that how did they build them? They say, well, they played a flute and the levitated stones that way. And we're now at the point now where we're kind of learning about vibrations, and that vibrations can in fact levitate stones. There is a way to do it, that they've come with magnetic thing, and with the Edgar Cayce saying that the Earth would stop. The magnetic vibration of the metals inside the Earth, and that's actually happening right now as we speak. And the magnetic poles have shifted a couple times, and that's a major shift. Like, we are very much parts of this world that we live in and see, the moon and the stars and all these things. We've been disconnected from it. A big shift like that's happening right now is really playing with a lot of our human. I think that's why we're so confused right now, more than any other time that we know of in history, where there's so much discord. Because what's happening inside the Earth with those vibrations and the magnetic fields, very much like what my grandfather could find with water, he's attuned to that. And I'm not, I don't spend a lot of time doing that. I guess I could if I wanted. It is affecting our mass psychosis. It has been ever since Hitler, since it started, basically, that we're moving into this new realm, and it's throwing us off, like our genetics, our politics, our capitalistic system. All of a sudden, there's a new awareness awakening in us that's attuned to something that's happening to our Earth.
Exactly. We're not the exactly.
We're not. We tend to think that we're just we're distant from the planet. We're not. We are the planet.
That's been the problem for a long time, though. People have once people got out of that, they thought that they started getting too materialistic. They started getting too worrying about what other humans are doing, when they need to focus on themselves and inward, and that's when they could connect to the Earth. But
Yeah.
Which I mean, I'm a victim of it. I mean, not a victim. I'm a participant in it too. I mean, I didn't.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those things where it's hard nowadays because you have video games, you have TV, you have internet, you
Yeah.
have all these podcasts. Please listen to my podcast. All these things that distract you
Oh, yeah.
away from focusing on yourself, and it's just it's not easy to get back to it. That's for sure. I've been trying,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. But you're a brave man for doing that. That's good.
well, because I've been told by a lot of memes and psychics that because whenever I interview someone who's in the spiritual realm, I get like a fuzzy feeling in the middle of my head, and I can't get rid of it until like listen like an hour after the interview's over.
Yeah.
And I've asked psychics and memes on here about it before, and they all said you need to meditate. There's something in your head that's trying to unlock. You need to unlock it.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
can see
like,
that in you.
I have a hard time meditating though. Like that's the problem. Is I have a hard time slowing down enough to sit there and meditate. Like I can't just,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not my nature. Like if I'm sitting there, I'm doing something. Like, I'm not just gonna be sitting here staring at the wall per se. But
But you're a seeker though. That's why you've created this show. And that's it's gonna keep those that vibration is gonna keep knocking on your head for sure. I can see that.
yeah, it,
Sorry.
no, it makes sense. It does. 'Cause I mean, I've been having it again this whole show, and it's the first show I've had that happen in a long time now. And I thought I
Mhm.
went away for a while, but I'm like, all right, it's back. But it's strange.
Yeah.
It's such a strange feeling that I never could have imagined. But
Well, good. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure how. I don't know. I've been trying to look locally for someone to help me like kind of har- harvest it almost like and see like
Oh yeah.
someone like a mentor almost in a way, but
Mhm.
someone I can actually like meet in person. It's just I don't know. I'm old fashioned like that. Doing stuff
Oh yeah, you
remote.
can't beat missing. Yeah. Although like, you can read cards online and do this. Like right now I can like distances don't matter at all in metaphysics. They're not what we think of them in our regular plane.
Oh,
So
I know that all too well. I mean,
yeah.
I've had mediums literally tell me about the spirit that lives in my garage, and
Yeah.
things I never mentioned on the show before. They were dead on about, and I was like, wow, you live in the other side of the country. How's that possible?
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
blew my mind to no degree. Like that blew my mind. But so
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's everything is possible in this world. That's kind of what I'm starting to learn.
It used to be, from what I understand, it used to be more of a thing for people to develop those kind of long distance telepathic vibrations before we had telephones and telegraph, and certainly now with the whole cell phones. You don't need a magic person anymore. You have a magic device in your hand uh, that is so tuned into of another thing is like I recently learned this a while ago. The Earth is exactly 1 second pulse of the digital realm of through go through the world. It's not out by a little bit. It's exactly. It takes 1 second to go from here to around the world like that. Um, in an
Makes
electrical
sense.
pulse. So is that coincidence? I don't know.
I don't think so. But
Uh,
personally, I don't think so at least. But
yeah.
I don't know. I just that's why I love the paranormal. That's why I love the spiritual world.
Oh
There's just
yeah,
so
yeah.
much. It's so much about this world that we don't know and that we
We
need to
don't.
figure out.
Hmm.
I mean, it's just
And you got an open mind to it. That's great. That's step number one. Yeah. Step,
yeah. I do, and the only thing I really don't have an open mind to is flat Earth theory because I just can't. I can't.
yeah. Yeah.
It just hollow Earth theory. Yes, I can believe that. Flat Earth, I don't know. I don't think that could work out really. But
No. No, it's there's too much mathematics to involve in that to
exactly.
try to prove that. But
Well,
That was interesting. Like again, I'm always like you. I'm learning it every day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't expand my knowledge in some way, shape, or form about this planet. And we're so lucky to be living in a time when all this information is available to us. You can't absorb it all, but you can at least advance daily a little bit more on this journey.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
what's
I mean,
coming out of now finally what's coming out of the moon studies, fascinating stuff. I've been following that. They've hidden this knowledge from us, but it's now coming out. Like again, that bell, when they exploded something on the moon, it rang like a bell for 8 days. Like how's that possible? If the moon is solid, it does. That's not what solid objects do. They don't ring like bells.
all right,
So
well, that's why I believe in the hollow moon theory. That's one of the reasons right there is that,
that's definite evidence for that. Yeah.
and I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel, and plus, I mean, I believe that. Oh, actually, I don't know if I do believe because I had someone on my show last week that is kind of just been disproving everything about astronauts, and he
Okay. Yeah.
fully he fully like doesn't think that it's possible for us to go up in the 60s to the moon. Like he doesn't think it's
Yeah.
we can't get back there now. That's his argument. If we can't get back there now, we
Oh.
don't have the ability to get back there now. How could we have gone there 50 years ago,
Okay.
60 years ago, whatever it
Yeah.
was? But it's just, which
Yeah,
I can kind of see logic in that because I'm like,
yeah.
true. I mean, my theory has always been we don't go back because of what we saw there, and we were told don't come back. But that was my
Interesting.
theory. That was my theory. I
Interesting.
mean, which is also why I think it's a hollow moon. Is I think it's a space station basically for an extraterrestrial species that's been there for a long
Yeah.
time, watching us. Maybe even Atlanteans. Who knows? But
Yeah, probably not. But well, again,
no, I mean,
we the interstellar beings. Given what we even know today, again, our physics aren't allowing us to assume that there can be interstellar travel. But perhaps it can. That's just our knowledge today. There was a time when we thought they couldn't fly. So
true. And
I
yeah,
mean,
it.
for those people who've never been in an encounter with a UFO, but the people who have been in an encounter certainly have a different view of it. Again, same with like the people who've encountered near death. They have
Yeah.
a heightened awareness to the, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange because there are so many people out there, so many famous cases of UFO abductions and whatnot, and then like the fact that people say like, "Oh no, they're all lying. That doesn't happen."
It can't. No. Yeah. It's
I'm
again.
like,
That's
probability doesn't line up there.
you're right. Just the math does not add up. And as again, the similar experiences, the crop circles, the cattle mutilations, the
I mean,
there's and now the United States Air Force is saying that they've seen things that they can't explain, and
and they're shooting them down apparently the last couple weeks.
ain't that the truth? I'd like to get behind that one for sure. Yeah, but
I mean, I don't know. It's
I think that was a kind of an overreaction after that big balloon that went by China. So
yeah.
is there something like somebody told me there was like 10,000 objects at any given time flying over the United States, and so or Canada, up here. So it's weird. That was a strange sequence of events for sure. Very odd. Not sure what it all pretends, but that
I mean,
was
some people have theorized that they're testing us, that they're seeing what's going to happen because 2024 there's supposed to be an alien invasion and the government knows it's coming. But they're trying to test us to see how we're going to react.
Oh,
That's why they told us about UFOs during COVID, was because of that. But
oh,
I don't know how far I buy into that one, but I mean, they're already here in my mind.
Oh, they've been here
Extraterrestrials
for
have
a
been here.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah, they've been here since we were crawling out of the caves, basically, and they may help us crawl out of the caves even a little bit. Who knows? But it's
That's right.
possible.
There's every culture has that belief of the teachers from the sky people,
or
who,
gods, as they called them.
or
But
gods. Yeah, that's what they called them,
yeah,
gods.
I
And,
mean,
and
Aztecs, Egyptians, Greeks, Chinese, everybody. Like everybody has their old
yep,
school gods.
that's right. That's right. And they all came from the sky, and the odd person was taken up and
Hmm.
dropped down and told various things about life. The If you read the Bible a certain way, it reads like an alien abduction story. It's it's especially the Old Testament. Like you read it from that
Yeah,
perspective, and it's the fiery chariot and the all of that stuff is for us recognizable as flying aircraft, rockets, the Thunderbird, the sound of thunder, and the is very recognizable to us, but not to the hunter gatherers of old. They would have definitely thought that was.
yeah, they would have thought that was something out of this world that they can't explain, and they
Yeah,
would have worshipped it because they knew that's the only thing they knew how to do.
that's
They
right.
didn't know how to question it really. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just there's so many wormholes you can go down this
Oh
paranormal
yeah.
world that.
Oh yeah, it's great. Yeah, you need a whole case of beer to go through it all or more.
I've done that, trust me. But by the end of the case of the beer, you're no better off than you were when we started. So,
All
we
right,
actually I do that.
Jeremy.
I do that at my other show every Sunday night with my two co-hosts.
Oh,
But
good for you.
that's that's completely. I try to take this show a little more seriously at least, but not too serious. You can't take anything in life too serious.
Yeah, you can. But again, there's I went down that wormhole for like why our humanity requires an altered state. It seems even like little kids will spin around to give themselves some kind of altered mind. It's so much of our humanity is that. So it's not, it's almost healthy, I think, or normal for humans to engage in psychic help, if you will, or kind of a heightened awareness of their world, because we can't just, as human beings, we are in the unique position to be between like a spiritual realm and a material realm. I'm not picking on beer. It could be anything, but
Oh, I
beer
yeah.
beer does work. Like or have a marijuana or even tobacco. Like they're part of who we are. They
I use all three, but yeah.
Yeah, to deny them is wrong. To
I
be full.
mean, I yeah, I mean, you can even cross over to like the hallucinogenics and everything that people use. I mean, I personally have never really done that much of those because I don't know, they're not good for you. I know that,
Well, yeah, yeah.
but why aren't they good for you is the question. Is it because you're seeing something you're not supposed to see, or is it really
Yeah,
altering your body? I mean, I don't know.
yeah, yeah. Well, ultimately, it alters your body, depending if it's good or bad, I guess. Everything's got a good side and a bad side, like
True,
it's
very true.
uh, beer, whether it's beer, coffee, exercise, or you name it. And so
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
searchers, we're searching again. You can't give up. You just got to keep going forward. I think our purpose here on life is to understand and to learn and act on to create a future. It's not a process of finding ourselves. It's a process of creating yourself. Yeah.
Which
And that's
I like that.
that's the
I like
nature of learning, is that like if you come to something that is trying to teach you something and you don't go away with some kind of change, you haven't learned, because learning is change. And the like I've written about this too in my other career as a teacher, the transcendental nature of learning. What I tell my students when they'd enter the classroom, I said, like, if you leave this classroom the same way you entered it, nothing has happened. I could be the greatest teacher in the world, but if you don't come out of there slightly different, and there are times when you come out of the classroom completely changed, a transcendental experience happens for you. And you've probably had those experiences. They don't happen too often, but they do happen when your mind just gets blown. We say that, where there a certain sense of clarity comes to you that you've never had before. and that can happen in a classroom as long as the teacher is focused on that type of learning, that transformational nature of learning. And the transformation, just like saying learning how to spell a word, but you've learned it. Your brain has physically translated something else or changed, physically changed, which leads to physical change or spiritual change, I should say. And it's all
Yeah, I mean,
driven by
I've had a few of those college courses where you walk out a different person, like 100%, but
yes,
it's just,
and you see the world differently. It's like, whoa, what the hell? Wow, that opened my eyes. Or you watch a
and
show on
you're
YouTube, and
right.
it's like, wow,
Yeah,
and
you're
you
right,
got to be
but
ready
it
for
does
it.
take certain teachers. It takes certain teachers to do that, though.
It
Not
does. Yeah.
a lot of teachers, you walk out of the class at the end of the year, you're like, I didn't learn shit. Okay, throw away the book.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah. Yeah, you're a majority teacher. Like again, I've had a career in teaching, and unfortunately, it's a profession filled with a lot of people who shouldn't be doing it. They get into it for the wrong reason because their parents pushed them to do something in university, and they weren't drawn to teaching for that transformational nature of being an active ingredient in children's lives or adult. I've done mostly adult teaching, but I've done children's teaching too. Um, and they don't like going to class. Like they I find that so unbelievable because like that's where it's happening. You know, that's what why would you go into teaching if you don't like? Anyway, that's another subject for another day. But
it's funny
it
because
is.
that's a career I almost went into too. I picked the wrong major for it, and I couldn't
Oh,
get through the. I couldn't get through the.
oh,
I couldn't get. I already had two associates. I decided to. I had one of
oh
those
yeah.
teachers who, in a zoology class, and she straight up said to me, "You should be a teacher." After like having to do like a presentation in
Mm.
the class, she's like, "You should be a teacher," which
Huh,
that changed my perception of my life after that class,
right. Yeah.
and
Hmm.
so then my goal become a teacher. But I just I wanted to be a biology teacher, and I couldn't handle all the chemistry and biology. I should have just went for
Right.
history or English or something, and I probably would have been a
Hmm.
teacher right now. But I just couldn't handle all the
Yeah.
freaking labs. But
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
it is what it is. But it's funny you bring it
That
up.
that yeah. That's for sure. They bring that about those. You were probably like again having taught biology recently. I see how again I've never been a biology teacher. I just got thrown into it for a couple of years here at the local college, and the curriculum is so prescriptive. Like they go into a lab and you're not allowed to do anything experimental. Like, what the hell is that? So I was sort of eventually I got pushed out of my job because I was trying to get these kids into a more constructivist curriculum where they wanted to. Why do you need to like dissect a frog to prove for the millionth time that the frog has a heart muscle and a circulatory system that keeps it alive? That's not, and that's kind of the way that's been going for years and years. How it's very prescriptive, label the parts of the heart, not to actually think about the heart. Like think, anyway, there's another topic for another day. But
Oh, I mean, it's strange. It is because I mean, and it's so much memorization. It's ridiculous. Like
I
memor.
hated biology, and yeah, that's right. I didn't like it in high school. I thought
I mean,
biology is this.
yeah. I mean,
What
having to
good is that?
memorize every bacteria name, every species name is just like, forget about it. I can't do that. I can't do that.
No, no,
I
yeah, you
shouldn't have
shouldn't
to,
have to. Shouldn't have
especially
to.
in this day and age when you can Google everything in 5 seconds. Like,
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I
And
mean,
I
I
think
get
what
it
we're
in
going to
like
see
the
too
'60s,
now with Chat
but
GTP, we're going to move away from the my career has mostly been teaching English, and a lot of English teacher colleagues are very nervous about this chat, and artificial intelligence. But if you think about it,
yeah,
it's not much different than when calculators entered math had to change to become more creative kind of way of thinking about numbers rather than just like mechanically putting them together. So the idea of Microsoft Word has been pushing this, but it's going to be majorly high. Just as an aside, but like I've my graduate work was on English curriculum through the years previous to mass media, because I'm actually a McLuhan philosopher too, and he said that the media of communication altered the way we teach and altered our whole society. And primarily, he's still right, but so I proved that by going back to what they were teaching prior to radio and what came after radio and stuff like that. And the curriculum changed completely. The ballpoint pen changed our way of thinking too, and the way we teach, because prior to that, it was much more of a human way. Like just one example, I remember reading an article from the NTCE, which is the National Teachers Council in the United States, of your country there, from I think it was 1912 or 13, somewhere in there. And this radical guy was saying, I think we should have we should have at least one written exam for every 4 oral exams. And that was radical. Like I thought, and now it's like completely different. It's all written. They've lost and now I think we're gonna have to go back to the old way, where it was about the human, your verbal skills, your human skills to communicate in an oral way. It has to come back, because now we've got this chat GDP, which can basically write me an essay on Shakespeare's play Macbeth and the role of the 3 witches, and boom, it's there.
Versus having to read the play and actually like think about it for a long time. And
that's right. Yeah.
I miss English class, but it was always one of my favorite subjects. I really should have been an English teacher, history teacher. It just blows my mind. I didn't think of it. If I can go back in time, that's one of the first places I'm stopping by, is to slap myself around like 15 years ago. But it's funny. We were using Chat GTP on our other podcast this past Sunday. My co-host wasn't feeling well, so he put in some conspiracy theories in there and like asked Chat GTP if they think it's possible. And some of the answers we got were kind of creepy.
Really?
Basically, we were asking about like if machines are going to and technology is going to overtake humans one day. And it sounded very much like AI trying to convince a human that it's not going to happen, but meanwhile its fingers are crossed behind its back. Like that's what it sounded like.
That's interesting.
So it's I mean, the whole I haven't tried playing around with it yet, but I mean, maybe one day.
Yeah, me neither.
Around a little bit. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
It's a new technology. It's definitely going to have an impact. I'm not sure it's how it's going to unfold, but yeah.
I mean, 3D printing changed the world too. The same way. I mean,
that's right. Yeah.
Now anybody can go and make their own products instead of having to. So many businesses shut down because people are just making their own stuff now, or finding ways to make their own stuff. It's just ridiculous, but it really is. I don't know. I think we're in the. I think that the world's on its way to changing. It's just it has to go through all this first to get to that point.
Looks like I'm being shut down here. Oh, there I'm back.
Yeah, I could see you. Yeah, there you go. Now I can see you talking.
The powers that be we're getting too close to the truth. They decided to shut us down.
Well, it is about that time, regardless. So, tell people one more time where they can find your book or your services if they want your services.
Okay, my book is available online through all the regular outlets, Amazon, and you name it. It's the 5-card pentagram tarot. Very reasonably priced, a book that may change your life, and I think a book that can help guide you. I find to help people forward using the tarot, and the tarot is there to do exactly that, among other things. You can also look me up at marvmachura.com for my music if you're interested in listening to some Western Canadian roots music. That is my specialty, and you can connect with me there. I look forward to anybody who wants to reach out and ask a question or engage with me in that way. Thank you, Jeremy.
Sounds good. And I'll of course put your website and your book link right in the description of the podcast as well, so anybody they can just copy and paste or click however it happens.
That. And it's been fascinating talking to you, Jeremy.
Oh, it's been a whirlwind of going down wormholes, basically. But it's been fun. It's been very fun, and these are the kind of conversations I like. I don't like
Me
scripted
too.
conversations that feel scripted. I like freeform stuff like this. So
You bet.
it makes
You bet. See where it
it's more
goes.
interesting for listeners. More interesting for listeners, in
Yep.
my opinion, too. But
I agree.
well, I thank you for coming on, Marv, and all my listeners.
You're
You
very
know where
welcome.
you can find me. So go check out all my stuff. And if you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify or any podcatcher, please like and subscribe as well. It helps with everything. Trust me.
Very good.
And Marv, I will definitely talk to you again sometime in the future. And all my listeners,
Thank you.
have a good night. You can, of course, find me on Facebook as Jeremy Bryant or on Facebook as Paranormal New Normal / Maniacal Music Musings Podcast with a S Facebook group. You can find me on Twitter and the Gram as @Juggalo Bastard. And you could find me, of course, on TikTok as @Juggalo Bastard Podcast and on YouTube as Paranormal New Normal. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us in everything we do if you're interested in seeing more. Patreon material coming soon.